Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. I'm looking at a book from the Law Society, nice green cover here, advising mentally disordered offenders. It's in the second edition. It's from the Law Society's legal handbooks series, and it's a practical guide written by Carolyn Taylor and Julia Krish with additional help from Dr Frank Farnham. You can see the book, it's very light, it's about just over 200 pages long. It's got a lot of detail in it, very useful chapters. Then it's got very useful paragraph numbering at the sides, which you can probably see. Then right at the back there's a very useful series of appendices, again very much connected with the relevant legislation, and right at the back an index. There's no CD with it. It's a very light book. I've written a Flickr review with my wife Elizabeth, and as I say, although there's no CD to go with this, the basic information is all there, and it's particularly useful in terms, apart from things like the forms which are needed, the basic information is really running through what signs to look for. Our title for this is Recognise the Signs When Advising in this specialist area of criminal law, and that's exactly what the book is aimed at. Chapter 1 in particular deals very specifically with the medical legal definitions, and that I think is of great help to people like me who are not that familiar with the medical side. What we said is this: in 220 pages and 11 chapters and 11 appendices, the three writers of this excellent and highly practical legal toolkit of a book cover everything most of us need to know about the handling of clients in this particularly demanding area of practice. The authors have expanded the second edition, which is this one, to include representation for mentally disordered offenders in youth and Crown Court courts, as well as the police station and the Magistrates Courts, which is what the first edition concentrated on. Much of the work in this area, certainly in terms of spotting the signs, has been written by Dr Farnham, and it's his contribution in the first chapter which is most welcome for its insights, and it includes a guide to identifying the main mental disorders that are met within the criminal justice system, together with an important overview of the original 1983 Act, which is now the Mental Health Act 2007. Can I just say that the provisions of the Coroners and Justice Act 2009 are not yet in force, so obviously the book was published prior to that royal assent being given. The changes obviously could affect diminished responsibility, provocation and infanticide, and obviously there may well be changes to the way in which we examine defendants and how the actual examination is conducted. I'm not quite sure what will happen because obviously we have a new government, but I thought I would point that out specifically. I would like to say that the Bradley Review in April 2009 concluded that evidence suggests that there are now more people with mental health problems in prison than ever before, and the review of course stated that custody can exacerbate mental ill health, heighten vulnerability and increase the risk of self-harm and suicide. That's why this book is so important, because of the signs and all the difficulties associated. It seems to me, and to both of us when we looked at the book, that the intention of Taylor and Krish was to provide the most successful current practical guide for us as practitioners once the signs of mental health disorder are recognised, because most criminal practitioners will encounter clients with these difficulties, and we actually need to know how to handle matters in the most professional way, and that's what I found helpful. And this is all basically despite the development of mental health assessment teams, attending police stations, mental health diversion schemes at magistrates courts and pilot mental health courts themselves. The problems remain that a large number of people with mental health difficulties still find themselves within the criminal justice system. Whether that changes, I don't know. Obviously we see with the arrival of the new coalition government and a different approach from Ken Clarke as the Justice Secretary and Lord Chancellor clearly on the agenda. Meanwhile, the guide itself remains the best short work for practitioners, available in 2010, with chapters on defences and sentencing, which in our view remain probably of vital assistance, and they certainly are from the practitioner's point of view. So thank you very much to the writers and the Law Society. Bye bye.